Wonderful.
That's
well,
awesome.
Now that we're all here, let's get things formally started. So, good morning, everyone who is tuning in, and welcome to one of the two breakout sessions that are happening right now until 11 a.m. My name is Dean Spironello. I'll be hosting this session, and as a small business advisor with the Niagara Falls Small Business Enterprise Center, I'm excited that we're able to offer this event during these times, and I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in and being part of what we're doing here today. The topic of this session is going to be about getting creative, how to successfully navigate a startup during the unprecedented and unforeseen challenges that COVID-19 and the pandemic have caused. And with me are 5 entrepreneurs from Niagara, all from different industries, that have either started their business during the past year or were in the early stages of growing their business as everything unfolded. So we've heard a lot about the impacts of the pandemic on small, independent business, and today you're going to hear some of our local stories. Just a reminder that there's also a second breakout session occurring right now. I encourage you to check that one out too. Simply go to sessions on the left-hand side of your screen, and you'll be able to freely navigate back and forward between our two talks. So make sure you check out both of our conversations. All right, so let's get to introducing the panelists with us here today. I am very excited to introduce Carey Baglieri of Center Meditation, Jose Granados of Jose Taqueria, Matthew Bodis of Frontier Barbers, and Brandy Henderson and Rowe Prudente of the Ownera group. So we're very thankful to have you on this session. I'm really interested in hearing your stories. So before we begin with the formal questions, how about just a brief introduction from each of you on who you are, what your business is, and maybe even a plug on where people can find you online, whether that's a website or a social media account. So I'm going to begin with how I see you on my end. Let's start with Jose. Jose, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Hi, how are you, everyone? My name is Jose Granados. I'm a co-owner of the Jose Taqueria. Jose has been quiet for quite a few years, and we are in 45 James Street. And now, after a few years in the market, moving to a location has been a lot of dream coming true. And this is part we want to try to introduce to the people the real Mexican food. No nachos, no chimichangas, something a real taqueria. That is what we are.
Long overdue for Niagara. My fiance, who I believe is actually watching, her family's from Central America, and she's always telling me about the difficulty of finding good quality Latino food here in Niagara. And I said, hold on, I think there's 2 guys that got us covered. Once all of this is over, we'll be one of the first people there, Jose. So thanks for joining us today. Matthew.
Thank you.
Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yes, I'm a co-owner with my wife of Frontier Barbers and Company. We're on the corner of St. Paul and Ontario, downtown St. Catharines. We're a traditional barbershop that focuses on, standard haircuts, beard trims, shaves, and different kind of grooming needs. But we also have a fully stocked and licensed bar at the front. So you can come in and get a local beer or a scotch or a whiskey or any other mixed drink while you wait for your service to come up.
Wonderful. Thanks, Matthew. Really cool concept. Like I said before we formally began, I had heard about the what you're doing with the, I think it was whiskey tasting or whiskey clubs. And
yes, we have a whiskey night.
And I could also use your hair, your barbering services now too. All right, let's get to Rowe and Brandy. Rowe and Brandy, we've known each other for a while now. Why don't you introduce everyone watching to yourselves and what the Ownera Group is all about?
Yeah, for sure. So Brandy, the other half of Brandy and Rowe, we did just launch a podcast called The Bro Show. That's why we're wearing our flag here. Rowe and I started, just jump in if I miss anything, Rowe. Rowe and I started about 3 years ago. We actually started with a lifestyle leisure magazine to showcase exactly what you were just talking about, Jose. Real food, real experiences, all things across Niagara. It's a really beautiful region, and a lot of domestic and international travelers were missing out on things that occurred off of Fallsview Boulevard. Fast forward to today, we are now a full service publishing and marketing firm for both digital, online and offline multimedia solutions to people all across Canada. And yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brandy. And I believe you've recently moved or upgraded your location.
We did.
Yes,
we
we
actually
did.
Relocated to a new commercial space, just perfectly designed for us. Still in Niagara Falls. We're very Niagara proud. It's nice and close to our homes. But yeah, we moved in over the holidays. Everybody took a break and we installed floors and painted.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, thank you, Brandy. And Carey, last but certainly not least, tell us a little bit about yourself and what is Center Meditation?
So Center Meditation is a meditation studio. And I have a location in Niagara Falls on Portage Road. It's membership based. So basically the idea is obviously you have a membership per month and you're able to come to as many classes as we offer. Of course, due to COVID, we've been forced to do a lot more online, which has been actually such a really cool thing. But yeah, Center Meditation. And I also, the building itself, I've also created into this Center Collective, which has a full service commercial kitchen, has a loft studio, has various different offices, as well as a storefront. So there's lots of opportunities for different workspace rentals there. So it's kind of twofold, but the primary impetus behind my business is my passion for meditation.
And Carey, you have a wonderful building. When we put this panel together, I thought, I know just who to contact. We have to have Carey here because really the ethos of meditation fits so well with what we're trying to do here today, which is really setting our intentions on having a more positive, more optimistic 2021 after what for many in our small business community has been a turbulent year. So I just want to remind everyone watching, feel free to comment in the chat section. If you have any questions, just drop them there. I'll do my best to ask our panel members your questions. We have a couple set questions I'm going to go through first. So by all means, feel free to ask away. Okay, let's get to the first question we have for all of you. And I think I'll just go around like I did during the intros to have you all provide some of your insight. The first question is, and this is something at the Small Business Enterprise Center, we get to see a lot of people who are just starting their business. My question for you all is, how did the process of actually starting a business compare to what you thought it would be like before you actually started? I know that a lot of people enter the business startup in this euphoric mindset of, this is going to be a flawless, a wonderful experience. Things can be a little bit more turbulent than that. So, Jose, why don't we begin with you? Tell me a bit about how actually starting your business maybe differed or compared to what you thought it would be like.
Well, when we started the business, my partner and I, Jesse and I, we started talking about open a taqueria, a real taqueria, and that one was before the COVID. We started the plannings and everything. So when COVID showed in our lives, so we sat many times to try to change a little bit and try to adapt in this kind of situation. And we knew it's gonna be, something maybe, we were talking about, can be maybe just a short time. We didn't know, but I said we were already gone. We couldn't go back, and it's no way. We are not this kind of people. We go and back it up. So we have to go forward and start working, start adapting to this kind of situation what we have right now.
Right. And some people watching might recognize Jose. If you've ever attended the St. Catharines Farmers Market, you're sure to have seen Jose there. You were active there for a long time as a vendor. And the Taqueria, I can imagine there's been a long lead up to that with you building your business and your reputation as a small operator at our farmers market, making this evolution into a brick and mortar space. So I can imagine this has been something that has been planned for a long time. And I admire the mindset of, not quitting, driving ahead full speed. Thank you, Jose. Matthew, tell us about your experience. How did starting your business compare or differ than what you thought it would be like?
For sure. So when we were starting doing the business plan, working with the St. Catharines Enterprise Center, it seemed like a very flawless, very easy, straightforward process. Rent a space, do construction, start your business. 3-4 months, you're good to go. But as a new business owner, I think I watched a little too much HGTV and said, wow, actually realized dealing with contractors, dealing with permits, dealing with different regulation programs, making sure that everything is in place properly takes a little longer than I initially anticipated. It took us a better part of a year to actually get started where we wanted to only take 3 months. So that's the biggest thing, is it took a lot longer than we normally anticipated.
Sure. And that's something that even during the best of times can often be the case. And with the added layer of everything that's unfolded over the past year, I can just see that being even more so part of the startup experience. Rowe and Brandy, tell us a bit about your experience.
I mean, everything was different. Rowe, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, everything was different than we expected that it was going to be. I would say that something that.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I think her bandwidth is not so good there.
No problem.
Can you guys hear me?
This is all part of the fun of a virtual event.
Yes, when we first started, we were so excited. We had everything planned out from start to end, the process of the business, right? We ensure that we have great content. We ensure that we have the great people and writers and designers. But then sometimes there's this, injection of struggles and hardships and financial matters that your plan sometimes doesn't work, right? So with our original plan A, we have to do some diversion and some changes. So we have to create a plan B to make it work. And at the end, sometimes you create a timeline of like 3 months. It doesn't really fit within the 3 months because with publication and media and so on, there's a lot of variables. So, sometimes it is early, sometimes it is late kind of thing, right? Sure. But we just have to remember that, what our goals are in the beginning, what we wanted to achieve, what we want to get out of it, for businesses to get out of it. Because like we're promoting Niagara region at that time, it was the magazine, and we wanted to make sure that we do it right. We have one of the wonders of the world in our backyard. So we need to make sure we do it just fine, right? Let it shine and tell the world again and again and again that we are what it is. And does that answer the question?
This is why you and Brandy are the bro show. When Brandy cuts off, you seamlessly pick right up where she had left off. So
I know, I do apologize, guys.
No apology needed at all, Rowe. Okay,
we're working from home. Yes.
Carey, tell us about your experience.
Yeah, well, I loved what Rose said. And I mean, I think the echo with what Jose and Matthew are saying too. I mean, and everyone, I know people who are just starting a business or just getting in don't want to hear that it didn't go as planned, but truly it doesn't. So I think the thing, like one cool piece of information that I keep close to my heart is, when we write things down, we're 46% more likely to achieve them. So, we write down our grocery list and we go, and yeah, typically I get most of the things on my grocery list, right? But imagine if you wrote down your dreams. So I think at the start of your business, if you keep coming back to that dream sheet, that dream paper, okay, your list in terms of the details and the dates and the contractors and the timeline and all of those things, guess what? That's going to, like Rowe was saying, all those hardships and difficulties and roadblocks are going to come into place perhaps, but the trueness of that powerful idea and that passion you have, that's what, keeps you powering through. So I just go back to like my dream sheet, and whether it's in my mind or on my Pinterest board or in my journal or whatever it is. And I keep going back to that. So even if the contractor for the tile took 3.5 weeks longer than they were supposed to, which they do, and so on, then I still know that the end goal is still kind of always in place, because that's what's meaningful.
Very well said, Carey. And I like your opinion on writing things down. And that's why I encourage people to try writing the business plan. I get, and most people get, that things just aren't going to go according to plan. That's a reality of life. And when you add on family responsibilities, other variables in your life, things just aren't likely to go according to plan. But writing things down is part of that learning process and helps you get your ideas that swirl around in your mind on paper. So I think that was a good suggestion. Okay, let's move on to our second question. This question is a common theme that has come up with many of our clients at the Small Business Enterprise Centers is this idea that sometimes opportunities can be found in unlikely places. Were you able to discover any opportunities as you navigated starting and growing your business during the pandemic? And maybe let's begin with Carey this time, and we'll reverse the order of the speakers. So, Carey, what do you have to say about maybe opportunities you discovered because of this pandemic that weren't really apparent to you?
Yeah, Dean, I love that question because, we've all been wading through this last year and trying to figure out where the opportunities are as entrepreneurs. And truly, so I just kept thinking, what are people still doing? Well, they're eating, so there's opportunities in food, and they're going online. Seriously, right? Like, these are the things. So for me, my brick and mortar building, because I have a commercial kitchen in there, the good thing that helped me kind of keep at least rolling along was the fact that people needed that kitchen to get their takeout orders out, do their catering business, and so on. So that was a benefit to me because people were still eating. Yay for food! Jose knows this. And then the other side of my business, which I never really planned to go online. I wasn't an online person. That wasn't for me. Yada yada. COVID forced me to create a better online presence, to start putting meditations online, to start creating a student base online. And I mean, it's been beautiful. I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to transition into online, experimenting with videos, experimenting with different multimedia, on your various social media platforms. Are you doing reels? Are you doing your Snapchats and all of those kind of things? Like, are you getting engaged on all those other platforms? I think what this has shown us is that there's time and there's opportunity in some of these other platforms. So getting engaged on social media, getting engaged in all the different ways online that you can, and then also just having a mind in the big picture, every once in a while stepping back and go, okay, what are people doing? How are they experiencing life even within this COVID bubble? And like I said, the two things I kept coming back to were food and online. And so that's kind of where I focused.
Very well said, Carey. And to echo that, I think this event is kind of an example of discovering a way to do something that we would have never had the guts to experiment with a year ago. So really well said, Carey. How about Rowe and Brandy? What do you have to say to that? Just I'll refresh you on the question here. A common theme that has come up is the idea of sometimes opportunities can be found in strange places. Were you able to discover any opportunities as you navigated starting and growing your business during this pandemic?
Well, for us, really, with regards to opportunity and pivoting during COVID, what we wanted was not happening, right? So with us, we have to make sure that every angle we create an opportunity, right? Like with limitation, with all these COVID situations, there's always a limitation. There's always a solution. There's always what do you call this? What do I call that word again? There's a limitation, there's innovation, right? So that's why when COVID happened, it became a catalyst of technology. Everyone now is reverting back to, or not reverting, but focusing their attention to technology and see if we can create an alternative to physical interaction. So with us being in a media company, we then ventured out and look at solutions out there to help businesses mitigate that division or mitigate that COVID situation, right? To interact and to still, help within the business community, right? Like, and breach that gap.
And
right?
Rowe, you and Brandy made a pretty significant pivot from what was largely a print publication-based media company with all these distribution outlets and all these high traffic physical locations to this more digital online space where you can reach your clientele.
That's right.
Quite the undertaking, and so far it looks like you guys are doing a great job of that. Matthew, let's hear a little bit about you. Did you discover any opportunities over the past year that maybe hadn't even occurred to you prior to all of this?
Yes. So one of the things that we've discovered during COVID is it's very hard to cut hair when you're shut down. So taking the barbershop side to pivot and try and bring a new part of the business was very hard to do because it's just the restrictions involved made it almost impossible for us to legally still offer services. But we do have the bar that was at our disposal, and we noticed that a large part of our customer base was really into whiskey, trying to taste new things. And piggybacking what Carey said, the food and online industries are still there, still something that everybody has a commonality towards. So we were able to focus a little bit more on whiskey tastings and whiskey experience nights once a month that can kind of keep us relevant while people are still at home. So what we've done is we host one night a month. We pick 3 different whiskeys or scotches, bourbons, whatever, and we hook up with a local restaurant to provide food. So we do an online tasting that pairs whiskey and a local restaurant and deliver it to the members of this new little group. Something that we didn't really focus on when we were open, but when we got shut down, a lot of the conversations were, hey, do you still have these new whiskeys and drinks? Is there anything that you're doing to still stay in the marketplace? And it's something that was fun because there's a plethora of time that we have on our hands, considering we are shut down, that we're able to focus on these little events.
I thought it was the coolest idea because I think about your situation as a business owner. You're right. There's simply nothing you can really do with hair here. But you have this whole other side of your business dedicated to alcoholic beverages. And I really saw you exploring that on a whole new level. Like, what can we do with this asset of our business? And before I had even met you, for those of you that weren't part of the conversation before we began, before I'd even met Matthew on this panel, I had heard about this wicked idea of this monthly whiskey tasting club that had been going around. So really a huge example of finding opportunity during these strange times. Jose, tell us about your experience. Did you find any opportunities along the way?
I think yes, yeah, we did, and I think it's most of this situation where we are right now. So we should just take a little bit patient, a little bit, breathe. The stress is gonna be there. The stress is gonna be there, but we have to start looking for the opportunities. Media is the best friend for us in the food industry. So we have to come in with some ideas how selling food. Maybe actually online, and people that can come in and pick it up, or we can deliver. And we have to adapt to every single person. They have a situation, celiac or diets, special diets. We can accomplish something for them, and we can offer some packages. And what I said, media has been the best friend for us, because we go from one platform to another company to a different. We have to adapt and try to push in a little bit and never give up. Never give up. It's our strength. Never give up. Always something good and always something new. And the best thing is networking. Networking has been awesome too. For us, for most of the friends what we have, networking has been the best for us.
Really interesting point about media being a friend to you throughout all of this. I think, based on what I can see and hear, I think people are really craving stories of resiliency, adaptability, pivots, because we're constantly bombarded with the information overload from the pandemic news cycle. And I think people are just looking for sources of optimism and bright lights. And a really good approach to how media can be part of helping you tell your story for those people who are looking for that type of inspiration. Okay.
Dean?
Yeah.
Dean, before you go on, I had one more thing that I thought to add.
Let's hear it, Carey.
Thank you. One of the other things that we did, and I just thought to share this because it might be helpful for some others out there, but we thought about, as I said, what can we do? What is possible? And for that long period of time, if you can remember this, like in the sort of the summer to fall area, we could gather outside. We could gather outside in greater numbers. So I started classes outside. And what I had to do to get to this point was let go of that attachment that I had to my brick and mortar building. I had to say, it's okay. I started to get a mobile meditation unit, basically rolling. So I would carry my cushions in a granny cart, and I would meet my, 15 or 20 students out at various different locations. I mean, Niagara, it's beautiful. We had this whole fall little tour where we did various little different locations throughout the region, but we used the outdoors. I did dock sessions in the summer. So I just thought that I'd share that as well. We use the outdoors as another opportunity to pivot and be creative during COVID.
Perfect example, Carey. And I follow you on Instagram, and I remember seeing all these cool, the allure of where are we going to be tomorrow. You did a great job of using that platform.
Thank you.
And for anybody, if you go to Center Meditation and you check out Carey's pictures of Carey's studio, you understand why she had such an attachment to the physical space and why it was difficult to maybe think outside the box. Really, a really cool vibe and atmosphere you have set up there, Carey.
Thanks, Dean.
Okay, let's move on to the next question here. So this past question was about opportunities that you discovered. The next question is a bit of a different direction. So we've all heard the phrase that hindsight is 20/20. So thinking back on when you first realized that COVID was going to lead to some pretty significant business interruptions, are there things that you would have done differently? I mean, it's been almost a year now from when the world went into this chaos. And is there anything over the past year that you reflect and you think, you know what, I should have done that, or I wish I would have done that? Let's begin with Jose. Do you have anything to share there about things you wish you could have done differently?
You know what? I think it's since day one when we sat, Jesse and I, we discussed a lot of pros and cons, and we our business plan was made it with a lot of ideas. And beside that one, I guess we are lucky because the brand was built already. So this is a continuation of my years. In those years, I gained a lot of experience. I met hundreds of people. And beside that one, I think maybe not for us, we could do something different. But I think it's was since day one, we planning a lot of how we want to this kind of business. We want to show the people the real Taqueria or the real business. When you go back to Mexico, when I coming from Cancun, and a lot of tourism people, they looking for a real thing. And I think we start with that one. And I think the only thing is we have to adapt any situation. It really doesn't matter how hard it's gonna be, but I think we have to adapt and never again. I'm sorry for saying so, but never give up.
And I think that's really the message of especially this panel, and more broadly this event is never give up and focus on resiliency to get through the difficult times. I've heard from some people, or you explore social media, and some people express this sentiment of why would you be starting a business during a pandemic? But what people fail to realize is that, you usually don't go from idea to starting a business over 1 or 2 weeks. Like for a lot of people, these are ideas and dreams that have been in the works for years, let alone weeks. And when you start a business, usually the ball gets started many months before, you're actually open to the public and selling products or services. So I think that probably a sentiment where many people don't understand the realities of what it's like to start really a brick and mortar business. Matthew, what about you? When you reflect on the past year, things you wish you could have done differently?
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think looking back, everyone's like, oh, I could have done this or I could have done that. One of the ideas that Brittany and I had was maybe we should get some shirts, hats, merchandise, paraphernalia kind of together so we can sell that online. And it's a great idea, something that we were toying with. But something to also consider is just because you have a product doesn't mean it will sell right away as fast as you think it would. Every little endeavor does take investment, does take time and energy. So we've discovered, actually the first shutdown, we bought branded hats and we spent a bunch of money trying to get these hats. We bought enough of them. We sold 4, 5. So looking at that, we realized maybe it's better to hunker down, save the money that we have in the account because we were only open for 10 months before the first shutdown, and actually just utilize the money that we have, making sure we can cover our rent, cover the bills needed to come out so that we have a viable business when things open up. So one of the things that I would say is don't rush into ideas because they might be amazing ideas, but they might not be as profitable as you might think right off the bat, which could put you in a little bit of a worse situation than if you just did nothing. So I would say we probably could have spent more time on social media, the more cost-effective ways of marketing versus jumping in and completely pivoting to a completely different avenue.
I once heard that entrepreneurship is essentially problem solving on the fly, and that's never been more true than over the past year or so. And I think to echo what you said, Matthew, about trying something and it not working the way you hoped it would, I think the story of an entrepreneur is also this story of overcoming micro failures. Because whether it be an advertising campaign, a new product line, a new service, something you've experimented with, you are going to encounter micro failures every step of the way. And what really makes an entrepreneur successful, and what has allowed all of you to really stay focused and afloat during the past year, is being able to endure those challenges as they come at you and keep your eyes set ahead. Rowe and Brandy, how about you? Anything you wish you could have done differently when you reflect on the past year?
And I don't know if you guys can hear me, but hindsight is 2020. You can always do something different
Okay.
if you want.
Yep.
Yeah, you're good? Okay. Yeah. Look at things that you could do differently going backwards. That's the beauty of hindsight, is that there's always something you wish you would have done differently. That's the process of learning and adapting. So, you know, Rowe and I, every day when we talk through the things that we're working on or the things that we would like to work on, it's just always an assessment. What could we have done better? What can we do better next time? It's just that process of constant evolution in what you work on and how you approach it. We don't like to stick in the past. You can't control the past. You can only learn from it and
Well
apply
said,
that,
Brandy.
ask more questions.
Learning today and
be,
leading tomorrow.
Versatile and charge forward.
Okay, Carey, how about you?
Well, I have a couple of observations, Dean. So what I loved is when you first asked if there's anything that anyone wished they would have done that they didn't do. That's the way you posed it at the very beginning. And there was kind of this complete silence. And what I took from that and I loved about that was like, everyone on the panel here knows that it's the staying still that's the thing that handcuffs you, right? So okay, Matthew talked about his his venture into apparel that maybe wasn't the right timing, and Brandy and Rowe, they're always assessing, which I love. But at the end of the day, I think, is there anything you wish you'd done differently? The one thing that I think no business person can really say is, as long as you were moving, as long as you were doing something, at least you were practicing, right? Because like back to what you were saying, Dean, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of success. It's an integral part of success. So you need to try things to know what works for your business, for your clientele, for your students, for your area, to know if they're going to work. So I love that trying of things, whether they work or not. So looking back, I mean, on my own, is there anything that I wish that I would have done differently, or that I wish that I would have done that I didn't? No, I think because again, I kept moving. Did everything work? Absolutely not. But that's okay, because I tried and then I realized that didn't work. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, just about apparel, because Matthew made me think of this. I also kind of waded into the water of apparel during COVID, and it was lots of fun. I really got a lot of joy out of it, and I got some good engagement as well. The thing that I didn't factor in, Matthew, was, okay, so here I am trying to run a meditation business and keep that side of things going. And then once I got into apparel, there was like the whole other side, like delivery and all the logistics that come with handing things out to people also during COVID, which I found like those are the things that I think, like when you're a creative and you're kind of coming up with new ideas, apparel sounds cool, but then you realize, oh my gosh, you have to go give this stuff out. So that's just kind of one of those things. It's like 5 or 7 or 13 like steps down the way that maybe I didn't fully think about, like that's going to take up a good amount of time that took me away maybe from my meditation business. Having said that, it was lots of fun, and I don't regret trying it, for sure.
Yeah, if I can just add that, I don't regret getting into the hats. It's something that we can still offer while open, when we were open. However, just that time, like Carey said, the additional add-ons of delivery, logistics, pricing, it adds to a little bit more than we anticipated, than having the fun of designing the logo, receiving the package of 100 hats. Like, these are amazing, I love these. Now what? That's the part that we struggle a little bit with.
You know, the past year has been an eye-opening experience for a lot of consumers and small business owners to the reality of shipping and packaging costs, especially in Canada, where shipping is known to be rather expensive. So definitely a common challenge, something that my fiance and I encountered ourselves. We have a small vintage goods store called Second Vita Vintage, and we've been entering this e-commerce market. And that was a very early wake-up call to us that the cost of logistics is more than I think what a lot of consumers believe them to be. You've all been making my job very easy today. Thanks for really the great experiences you've been sharing with us. Let's keep it going. So the next question here is, starting and growing a business requires constant motivation. What are your sources of motivation? What inspires you? Let's start with, I think, Carey, we ended off with you, right? So let's start with you this time then.
Okay, sure. This was a hard one for me because, I mean, I guess you always know your why. Like, I'm so passionate about sharing meditation with others, introducing people to it, helping share ideas about meditation with others. One of the things that lately I've found motivation in my business around is learning and expanding and growing. And I have to admit, I'm not always in this stage or phase. Like, I'm not always in the learning phase, because sometimes you're busy with your hands dirty and doing and creating and different things. Right now, I'm really enjoying learning. I'm expanding my repertoire I teach breathworks classes now. And so I'm becoming a certified breath instructor as well. And I'm doing lots of learning because it's kind of come to me, and it's been that kind of time where there's lots of access to good education online right now. So I've been really enjoying that side of things. And of course, students coming and engaging and asking questions and wanting to know more about meditation and getting curious about it really keeps me inspired too. And just coming up with new creative ideas, like how I can bring it more, more of a fulfilling way into the workplace and corporately, how I can use my building and my studio, and how I can expand beyond that as well.
Very wonderful. Thanks, Carey. How about you, Rowe and Brandy? What motivates you and inspires you?
That's a really good question, right? So when COVID first started, we were in denial. We all were, like, back then. Like, I just came back from the Philippines in late February, and I came back and I was ready to go to work and, do my day in, day out. And then it was all discombobulated, right? So we pushed through, we pivoted, we found all those technology that would help a lot of businesses. But then I had to step back and reflect back on what I have been doing. Like, my husband was home, my son was home, everyone was home. And my inspiration is not really, yes, I'd like the business to really do well and be successful, but why am I doing it for? To whom would I give that credit back to, right? So it's like looking back to my family, and then it's like they are my motivation. They are my inspiration. We do all these for our people, right? For ourselves, for our family, for our team, for everyone. Just be thankful that you're around. Like, your family are healthy, right? There's a lot of sickness and COVID situation and death around Canada and the US and so on. But you just have to be thankful of that your family is healthy, and keep that as your motivation. That is my motivation. I'm motivated to work, to wake up every day, to do what I do for the businesses, for my team, prepare my team for the inevitable that this new normal is coming through, right? And it's just the people and the family. That's it.
So true, Rowe. The theory of business teaches us that we innovate to pursue profits, but I mean, fundamentally, we're human beings, and there's more to what brings us value and joy than just that. And I can't think of a better example than family being one of those things. Matthew, how about you? Oh, Matthew, can everyone hear Matthew? I think I've lost his audio. Give us a thumbs up.
How's that?
Oh, you're back. Wonderful.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, no, one of the great motivational aspects to at least the barbershop is I love being part of the community. I love meeting every new person that comes in, finding out what's going on in their lives, being more than just a store owner or a barbershop owner. It's becoming part of the community. So that's something that I get a lot of enjoyment out of. It definitely keeps me going. I love being part of the community as a whole. There's nothing better than, finding out someone heard about one of your ideas through someone else because it's something that you're passionate about. You love people being involved in all these different avenues. And then, on the realistic, this is mine and my wife's sole source of income. So we didn't start a business because we had nothing else to do. We wanted to do something that we were passionate about and also support a livelihood that we were looking for. So having all of the, having the passion, being able to be achieved, having an income, having people learn and discover our story is definitely something that keeps us going and keeps us motivated. Because as everybody probably knows, there's a lot of parts to the business that aren't as enjoyable than the main core of what you're trying to do. They're, accounting and HR. When I'm sitting down looking over the books, it's not the most enjoyable aspect, but all the extras that you get from owning your business definitely keeps you going through those times.
Yeah, there is some administrative work that is inevitable to owning a business. And I once heard from my barber, Matthew, that his job is to be a good conversationalist and he cuts hair on the side. So kind of going back to you being the barber being really a staple of the community for everyone and a shop of talk and conversation. Jose, how about you?
Our motivation has been our people, my customers. And we tried coming with some creative ideas. Now it's really common, most of the business in the food business. Everybody coming with some ideas, the packaging, family package or couple, and we start doing the same thing. And now the good thing, we can sell in alcohol. So we put in a package with a beer, and you can have in delivery, or you can come and pick it up. And this is the motivation is the response from the people. The response has been awesome, and I think this is my our motivation for us, for Jesse, for my team here. It's not a big team, but we have some people working with us. And that's its all motivation to see people happy, and it's not about money. At the end of the day, money I think is gonna be money. I think it's something you feel passion is what Carey and Matthew said. It's a passion always for everything, and when you see people they like these kind of ideas, it's motivation.
Thank you, Jose, and well said. I think we're going to have time for maybe one more question before we get to the next keynote speaker. So maybe let's end it off with any advice that each of you have to offer from your experience as a new entrepreneur and a business owner. People watching, I'm sure there are people watching. In fact, I know there are people watching right now who are thinking about starting their own businesses. Not all that long ago, most of you were in their shoes. The wheels were turning, you had an idea, and you were really gearing up to say, that's it. Let's try this out. Let's put this into action. What advice from your experience would you have for people who are thinking about starting their business? And let's start with you, Carey.
Sorry, did you want to start with me, Dean?
Yeah, let's start with
Oh my gosh, I'm such a poor, first of all, sorry about not hearing my name there. I'm such a poor advice giver. And truly, I think the only advice, I learned things and I talked to people, yes, but I mean, the only advice that you need is it was what you've got. Like you've got to listen to your own self. So, I mean, as far as can you learn about the HR side? Can you learn about contractors? Can you learn about the accounting? Can you learn about the marketing? Can you engage other people like Rowe and Brandy to help you with the marketing and the media? Yes, like all of those kind of things. But I mean, at the end of the day, there is no advice but your own heart. There is really only you and what you decide to do. So, if you want it and you're passionate about it, try again, get out there, and I think those of us who are in this boat, sort of business people, have always kind of had that spirit about us. And whether it be like, I used to sew purses for a lot of years, and I used to sell them to my friends and sell them for weddings and things like that. And I mean, all of those little things, when I look back, sort of led me in this direction, and they helped because, you learn a little bit about, giving and receiving and monetary exchange and different little things about business that maybe you didn't know before. So try things, go with your heart, and you're the only advice giver you need.
Carey, for someone who isn't a very good advice giver, that was excellent advice.
Thanks, Dean. Thank you.
Okay, Rowe and Brandy, how about you?
Well, for me, actually, like this is really tricky because like both Brandy and I came from corporate, our careers, 20 years, almost 20 years in different multi-national companies, right? Brandy was exploring North America and exploring Asia with her background in outsourcing or call center. And myself, we were in the airline, right? So once we moved back, I moved back to Niagara and meeting Brandy, it was time, right? Now I found the right partner, right? Like it took me 1 year to court Brandy to be on my court and let's do this, right? It was an eye-opening, and I said, okay, let's do this and we can do this together. The two of us will take on the world and take on the responsibility. But it wasn't enough. What did me is when I evaluated myself. Now I have to take care of her as my business partner, not just myself. I take care of my family, right? I take care of my customers. Are you ready? Evaluate yourself as a new business owner. Are you going to be ready to take on this responsibility? Because you're taking care of lives and businesses, right? Like, or however your business would be, but you need to evaluate how ready you are. You need to evaluate that, what you do is for the good of all, not the good of all the world, but for good, and just realize that there are sacrifices and you need to make sure that you're ready to do on that. It'll have financial challenges, it'll have emotional challenges. You just need to know if you're ready to do that and take on that responsibility, because like it will humble you down, right? Like when you start your own business, it will peel you off layer by layer. I'm not joking. It peeled us off with all our corporate career off to the side. What do you want? You need to work for yourself and evaluate your situation and yourself if you're ready to take on that responsibility.
Really well said, Rowe. And I think that even follows up nicely from what Jessica was sharing in her keynote speech about taking that time to figure out your passion and pursuing that. And I know from knowing you, Rowe and Brandy, that both of you are very passionate about what you do. And I think you've earned the right to speak with the passion that you do on the entrepreneurial journey. So thanks for that advice. And Matthew, how about yourself?
Yeah, there's so many. Oh, looking back, there's so many things that I could say. Number one, first and foremost, I'd have to say, ask questions. People I found have a genuine sense of wanting to help. You just have to take the time and ask questions. Ask anybody, as a family, friends, I actually came to the St. Catharines Enterprise Center more times than they probably wanted me coming around, because there's just so many things that I didn't know, or I didn't know I didn't know. So that's the biggest thing, is just get out there, talk about your idea, talk about what you're passionate about, and get that information, because there's probably things you didn't think about, or someone else might bring a different aspect that you didn't even realize. And then the second part is probably, it's very similar to what Jessica was saying in her keynote speaking, is fake it till you make it. You might feel super confident, but you are the master of your craft. You know why you're doing this. Believe in yourself and just go and do it.
Awesome advice, Matthew. I remember back in my time in elementary school as a quiet student, I had a teacher tell me the only silly question is a question not asked. So ask lots of questions. Jose, let's finish it off with you. Give us some advice from your experience.
My advice can be just focus on what you're looking for and what you want. And like Matthew said, ask questions. And one thing, we are really grateful to met Adrian and Rob. And it has been really good, because always questions, and always ask questions and focus.
I think that's a good piece of advice to end this session off with. Thank you so much for our courageous entrepreneurs for taking the time out of their morning to talk about their experience. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in to participate and engage with this session. Next, we're going to head back over to the stage. If you can go to the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see stage. And we're about to hear Daryl Landry speak. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for my entrepreneurs.
Thanks, Dean. Great job.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Great job, everybody.
Thank you.
Fun.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.